you've defined the problem. Now you will tell us what the solution is.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay, but this is a kind of problem.
Uh, Nishmita, Clayton, Umesh, you guys understood, right, this issue?
Yes, yes.
Nishmita?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Understood. Okay.
So let's see what we can do. This is very important, very basic, and every JavaScript developer should know this. Okay, so let's do that. We are going to first use a callback. How does it work? In get user, I am defining here callback, just a keyword which is going to be a function. Callback is a variable and a type. Colon, whatever I write after colon, it is actually going to be a type. So type is a function. This is a function syntax. I'm writing void over here because I don't want to define a function like this. That's the reason I'm writing void over here. So this is going to be my callback. Instead of returning anything, instead of returning users, I am actually going to call my function which I am receiving from my inputs, and I'm supplying users as a callback parameter for that function, and I'm not returning anything over here. I will not return anything. My 14th step, I'll write it over here. Now it is giving me error because this expected 0 argument but got 1, because for callback I have to define here that it is going to have some argument which is users, which is an array of CG users. So I have defined a callback function which will accept users as a input. Now instead of running it like this, what I should be doing it over here is this dot get users, and now this is the callback. This is a callback function which will be executed after 3000 milliseconds. See what is happening. Set timeout function will be called, which will wait for 3 milliseconds, 3 seconds. Then after 3 seconds it will go to this step, it will return this, then it will call back the function which is supplied as an input to the main function, and I am calling this main function over here, and this is the callback function. So now this will be running after 3 seconds, that is after receiving data from database. Okay, now
Sudarshan,
yes,
that callback, is that a keyword?
no, it is not a keyword. CBBBACK, whatever
Okay.
you need you can write. This is just a function. My callback, let's make it like this to understand that this is not a
You can
keyword.
write as return also, right? In place of callback.
No, no.
Revert.
Yeah, you can write revert.
Hmm.
Okay, revert.
Nishmita, the reason why we cannot write return, you know, right?
I came to know.
Return is a keyword.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so okay, so this is a callback function. This is a callback function which will be called only after I receive the data from database. So I actually have users. See, sorry. Sorry, it isn't. See, in this revert function, I am getting these users, which is these users, which I will get over here in this function. And now I will get an array of CGO users over here. So I can now put everything else inside of this callback function, and then it will work. Okay, so now what will happen, I will call this function, it will go um, it will run this function get users, it will go over here, it will check for a timeout. After timeout of 3 seconds, it will go, it will log this console, it will get the users and call the callback function, which is supplied parameter for the original function, which is this function. It will get the users, it will call the callback, that database call is completed, then it will run through each users and as usual. Okay, but still there is a catch. Let's see what happens now.
Just 1 minute, Sudarshan. I want to see the code. What it becomes. Revert.
Now the
revert.
sequence, let me change the sequence. This is the first one, we are not having this, so this is the second one, but this is not a callback, but this will run the second one, second. Now this will be the third, this will be the fourth, this will be the fifth. Now fifth is actually the callback, which is this function. This is the same one, calling it over here, that means executing it over here. This is the fifth one, this is sixth, this is seventh, 8th, and so on. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This is 13. The sequence is like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Okay, now we got to know how I'm using callback.
I'm a bit confused now. So what you have done is, see, you get to do for user. That's a function.
Right,
Inside that, you're calling a function, this dot get users.
right.
Okay, and when you're calling that this function, so your control is passed to that. But
Yes.
when this dot get user is not a function call, it itself is a function again. So it's confusing whether it's a
No,
function.
it is a function call. See, this dot get user is a function call. Let me show you where is that function. See, this is the function, my callback function. This is my callback function. Can I fold it? Yes, this is my callback function. So this dot get user is a function which is going to call, which will call this, and I am supplying another function to this function, so that
The
when my get user completes, it can send data to this function, which is which I am supplying over here. So something is happening inside this get user, and after that is completed, it is calling this function inside this get user. So now inside function is actually a callback.
okay, 1 minute. So get users is expecting object as the input. So that get users is expecting the object which is called as users.
No.
Okay, now
Get
get
user is
users
not
is
expecting an
expecting a
object.
function as
1 minute.
input. Okay.
See, it is like this. Okay, I will write it here. Callback, and I will change this revert to callback because that is more correct word to use it over here. No, I shouldn't be formatting it like this. Okay, so see this one. It is like this. This get user is a function. I am supplying only one callback function, which is this. But see, I am not running this function. I am just giving this function as an input, this will
Input parameter to
from
get
where I
users.
will get this user. I will get this users when this get user function supplies these get users or these users to this callback function. So my callback function will be running inside get users. So get users is actually getting the users from a database and then giving those users to my callback function, which is this, which I supply it over here. So then my callback will be called after this line. That's the reason I have put here 5, because this will be called, that means this callback function will be called sequence number 5.
So log. So I'm gonna write it there. So then callback is returning this dot users. Okay. So so before callback returns this dot users, you will be writing the query to retrieve data from the database in a real scenario
Yes,
inside get users, and then it will return it back. So when it is returning it back, so that data, so that data will be returned back by the function, and uh, confusing. So callback has called that function and उसके अंदर और एक फंक्शन है तो ये कॉल गेट इसके अंदर मैंने लिखा callback में ओके मैं callback को उसमें लिख रहा हूँ एंड
this actually happens whenever there is a database call or file read write.
ओके
So because I have put here 3000 millisecond, that means 3 seconds, this is going to be an asynchronous function. So this cannot actually return anything to the main function, but it should actually call a function which is a callback, and which should be supplied as a parameter of the original function.
ओके ओके एंड कंसोल डॉट लॉग यूजर्स है और मुझे मिल गया यूजर्स मिल गया विच इज रिटन बाय दिस ओके ओके ट्राई हुआ फिर बाद में मैं उसके अंदर आता हूँ ओके so get gets called and then उसका body gets called okay समझा मेरे को
Okay, so let me
so
format this one.
what you're trying to do is ना Sudarshan
Hmm,
just correct me if I'm wrong so what you're doing is कि get users is expecting a function as input
right,
and what you're doing is you have written in get to from user what you're doing is it's a function in that you're calling get user and you're defining the body of that function
right.
and now when you're calling get user so
Hmm,
the body of the function is passed as a parameter to get user
right
now
here.
so it came to get user and now the parameter is passed and the body starts executing so the body starts executing that means you will retrieve data from the database or you will do some file operation
Yeah, the
no
file
no body
operation is
of get
happening
user
over
starts
here. Set
executing
timeout.
body of
After I
get
get
user
the
starts
data,
executing
I will call this callback.
uh, So when you call the callback, remaining part of the function of callback gets executed.
Yes, and this
Okay,
is the remaining part of the function.
okay, cool. Now I got it.
Okay, now it will still not work. Why? Because
Oh,
even though I am getting this